What is up, guys? In today's video we're going to be taking a first look at the new 80 carry changes that Rai is coming up with, and obviously this is going to impact Yasuo and Yone heavily. So first up we have the new Rageblade, which is actually being turned into a mythic item. And yeah, I'll get to the other mythics later because a lot of them are changed and not even mythics anymore. But yeah, first we have mythic Kinsu Rageblade. So I'm pretty sure this is a revert to Rageblade from a long time ago, like season 6. Basically gives us AD, AP, and attack speed. And instead of the current Rageblade, which just gives AD, I think, it's turning it into magic damage. So attacks apply 30 magic damage on hit, your critical strike chance. So the more crit we have, the more magic damage we do. So now think of it, it's kind of like another Yone's passive, where you're just going to be doing magic and physical damage, you know? And not only that, but Seething Strike, basic attacks grant 8% attack speed, stacking up to 4 times for a maximum of 32% attack speed. While fully stacked, every third attack applies your on-hit effects. So this means if we go Bork, Rageblade, once we stack it all the way up, we're going to apply Bork every single third auto, right? Go to 4 times. Yeah, every third auto, once it's fully stacked, you apply 2 Bork stacks, which is a lot. That is a lot of damage. And then it grants all other legendary items 5% armor and 6% penetration, which I think it already did this, right? Oh wait, no, it wasn't a mythic. So I'm thinking of Divine Sunder. So yeah, it sounds pretty good on like Yone maybe, but this is definitely not going to be our main mythic. Maybe if we're just against like a lot of tanks and we go like Bork into Rageblade. I could see that build being good, like Bork, Rageblade, and then following up with some legendary items. If you're just playing top Yone into like a Malphite, sounds pretty strong. So yeah, very interesting. Next up we have Navori Quickblades, which they're not really changing anything. They're just basically making a mythic item. The thing that they are changing, instead, you don't need 40% to apply, but for us Yasuo Yone players, it doesn't matter, because when we went this first item, it was already 40%. So this is more of a change for regular AD carries. They could just actually build this first item. So for us, this does not change anything. I think your abilities deal now just flat 20%. So now we get, if we want to rush this, which we probably will never do, it automatically does the 20%. And so like scaling up with more crit items. But yeah, I don't really see this ever being good on Yasuo Yone, because again, we don't use it now and we could already rush this. So it's pretty pointless. And now they're making Gale Force, or they're keeping Gale Force as a mythic. So out of all the 3 current mythics, Kraken, Shield Bow, this is the only one they're keeping. So very interesting. So basically they are lowering the stats on it. I think they're lowering the AD and attack speed, but they're giving it 7% move speed. Just flat out. They're getting rid of the movement speed on the mythic passive, replacing the mythic passive with 5 AD per legendary item. So it'd be honestly a better mythic passive for sure, getting 5 AD instead of movement speed and already getting the flat movement speed. So that feels really good. And then, so yeah, it's the same active, dash in, fires missiles, but instead of magic damage, it's actually physical damage, which honestly can be a good and bad thing, because obviously having the magic damage when someone builds armor gives you the split damage, so it feels pretty good. But I think altogether it will do more damage once you get like some armor pen, if you're building like Black Cleaver or Doms. So I don't know how to feel about that part, but they are lowering it, the cooldown, again, to 90 seconds, which feels very, very good. So I think there are going to be sometimes you go this item. So far, I think we never go this item. I think it's kind of pointless. Obviously, we're going to test it out, but again, there's not really much to test out. It just feels the same. Gonna go this sometimes. I think this has its spots on top Yone and Yasuo top, maybe, against like tanks. And then we have the last one, Infinity Edge. They're making Infinity Edge a mythic item now, which obviously I think this is going to be our go-to. Probably going to do it like 90% of the time. And yeah, they're not changing anything about it. It's kind of like Navori, where it's just the same item, but you can rush it now. Like 80 carries can rush it first item. They didn't change any of the other stats, so yeah, just feels pretty good. I don't know if we're going to rush this, because currently, since they didn't change at all, yeah, there's no point in rushing this for us. It's because we could already rush it right now, right? And we're not doing it. And they did rework a couple other mythics that aren't crit mythics, so we're going to go over those too. So Prowl is called. They got rid of the active on it. Now, after dashing, blinking, or exiting stealth, your next attack does an additional this amount of damage. And it slows by 99% for 0.5 seconds. So it only has a 5-second cooldown. So honestly, this sounds a lot better on Yone and Yasuo, because you could just keep applying this over and over again, right? But every 5 seconds, you just dash again with either your ult, your third Q for Yone, obviously Yasuo with all the dashes. So if we wanted to try out lethality Yasuo, this just, and Yone, sounds even better. Just gonna be able to apply this so many times, so very interesting, and definitely try that out. Now they added Yumu's Ghostblade as a mythic. It's no longer a legendary item, so that's pretty cool. So it still has the same active, gain 25% movement speed and ghosting for 6 seconds. During this time, you generate stacks 2 times as fast, which is the new part, right? So now gain up to 100 spectral shards while moving. Gain up to 50 speed out of combat. While at max shards, gain 10 to 20 lethality. And this resets 4 seconds after dealing damage. So this is all about just roaming a lot. So I don't really think this is going to be Yasuo or Yone related. This is more of like a Talon item, a Kiana item. Just roaming a shit down. It sounds very annoying to verse. They're just going to be super fast and just have a lot of... They're just going to run at you full speed, roam all the way bot lane, have more damage than one-shot someone. So I don't know if I really exactly like this. Sounds kind of toxic, but... yeah, we'll try it on Yasuo Yone anyway. Oh, also the mythic passive grants all other legendary items 8 to AD. I mean, pretty solid, just more damage. Now we have Dustblade, which is getting a rework. So now, instead of making you stealth, your abilities deal up to an additional 15% damage based on the target's missing health. When a champion that you have damaged within the velocity segment dies, you become untargetable. So, I don't know how to feel about this. I think this sounds very toxic. I think stealth is a lot less toxic because you can still hit the person with skill shots and everything. Yeah, untargetable. I don't know if this means like Fizzy, Vlad W, but that sounds very obnoxious. At least there's a 10-second cooldown, so you can't just like do what current Dustblade does where it's like stealth. So, I don't know how to feel about this. Doesn't really sound very good in our champs, but sounds toxic. Yeah, I think that is all the changes for the Dustblade Mythics. Now we're going to regular crit items. So they're changing Bloodthirster, same stats, but now it doesn't give a shield. It now does something else. Engorge. While above 50% health, gain an additional 10 to 40 ED. So this could potentially give you 95 attack damage. That is quite insane. I don't think this is going to be very good as like a rush item. I mean, it's not. So this is going to be good once you have like another lifesteal item like Shield Bow maybe with Overheal. So like more of a late game item, about 90 AD. They lowered the lifesteal too. It was like 20 something before, now it's 18. But getting up to 90 AD, or what was it, 95 AD, that is insane. So yeah, even more damage. I actually like this change though. More damage doesn't make them as tanky, so I like it. Small change on lower doms, which is actually really good for Yone. Deal up to 25%. It's the same thing, just instead of just physical, it's physical and magic. So I was always turned off by this item because Yone was, you know, he does a lot of magic and physical, right? So the fact that it does both now, honestly, might go this item a lot more. Feels a lot better for even Yasuo with the E damage, I guess, but more so for Yone. Stormraiser changes. I'm pretty disappointed with these changes. I think they could have... This item needs a lot more work because it's just terrible. But yeah, so it's the same thing. Except your energized attacks apply... Yeah, I think it's like the same damage and grants you movement speed instead of slowing. So I don't really know how to feel about that. I think the stats are a little bit better too. It's more AD, a little bit less attack speed to my knowledge. Or it might be the same, I'm not too sure. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like a slow is better than movement speed on average. So I don't think this is going to be very good for Yasuo Yone. There's just going to be better options. But yeah, I really wish they would revert this item, or not revert it, but like change it into something cooler. Either make it its own mythic. It looks like a cool item. But yeah, maybe it's just gonna be for AD carries running like Caitlyn, a lot of movement speed. But yeah, definitely doesn't seem very good. Changing Rapid Fire Cannon. I actually like this change. They're making it a lot more damage. It used to give no AD. Now it gives less attack speed and more 30 AD. And I think it has the same exact, yeah, your energized attacks can gain up to 35% range. So it just does a lot more damage. Still going to be useless on Yasuo or Yone, obviously, but yeah, more damage. So it's cool. And now they are turning Kraken Slayer into a legendary item, which very unique. I don't know how to feel about this. I think there's just so many options now, which I think is a really good thing. There's not going to just be one build. But yeah, so 40 AD, 30% attack speed, 20% crit chance, and bring down every third attack. Applies 20 plus 60% AD, 45% magic damage. Additional triggers on the same target increase the damage by 50%. So almost doubles the damage, or yeah, 50% damage. So yeah, I don't know. Just sounds really good into tankiness. Yeah, ramping damage. So it's gonna be very good into like long fights, into bruisers. You're not gonna want to build this into like Zed or something, into assassins, right? So yeah, sounds very good. The fact that we can build IE and, well, we can already build that. Yeah, the fact that we can build Kraken Slayer and then another mythic sounds, yeah, it sounds really nice. Also, adding to it, legendary Immortal Shieldbow, no longer a mythic, which this seems insane to me. Now you can build Shieldbow and get another mythic, because this is not a mythic anymore, right? And this item's already OP. They did heavily nerf it though. The life steal is only 7%, 50 AD still. When taking damage, reduce you. Ooh, this is what I don't like though. So you still get a shield, but you get 30% attack speed when it procs. I don't like this at all. This is very useless. So it used to be either AD, I think when it first came out it was lifesteal, and then they changed it to AD, and now they changed it to attack speed. So I think this is very useless. Yasuo or Yone already have enough attack speed with lethal tempo. So yeah, definitely nerfed for our champs. Better for AD carries. Not too sure when we're going to build this, but yeah, I guess when we want to be more tanky when we're against assassins. Okay, this is my most excited one. This is what I predict will be first item rush for Yasuo or Yone players. I think it's honestly going to go back to static shiv into IE every game. Maybe not every game, but that's what I'm predicting. Although they did make it a lot more expensive. So yeah, 45% attack damage, which this item never used to give attack damage, I'm pretty sure. So a shit ton of attack speed and attack damage and crit chance. And if you guys aren't familiar with your item, this item, if you're newer to League and not an old League player, it basically is your energized attacks, chain lightning, and it just hits everyone around you. So it stacks up to 100, you hit a minion, you hit a champion, just electrocutes everything. So think of it like a Stormraiser that's AoE, that doesn't slow or give movement speed. But yeah, this was like super meta back in the day on Yasuo or Yone. So yeah, it just looks even better. Just an attack damage static shiv. I think rushing this is going to be insane. The only bad thing is going static shiv into IE, we're going to have no lifesteal. So there's going to be a lot of choices. I don't think there's going to be one build that is just, oh, you have to do this. There's just like trade-offs now, which is how League should be, right? Like the problem with Shieldbow is that it gave you everything. It gave you lifesteal, tankiness, damage, so there's no point in going anything else, usually. But yeah, definitely very OP, and I could see this being the go-to first item. And then those are all the crit changes. Now I have a little bit more boring changes. Force of Nature change. Didn't really change much. These are like really small changes, by the way. So they're just, I think they lowered the health by a little bit. And then on 10 stacks, instead of doing 25% less than magic damage, it's just 30 flat magic resist. So you get 90 magic resist. They're just still a shit ton. I don't know if this is a buff or a nerf, but yeah, not sure. Then they changed Radiant Virtue. We never used to build this item anyway. I know there was someone in EU that built it. So now it's even worse. It's more of a tanky item, which is what it should be. A more supporty item, I mean. So now we get less max health while healing more of our people around us. So yeah, definitely not a carry item. Not going to be used for Yasuo or Yone. Then we have Steric's Gauge changes, which they changed it. I'm pretty sure the only thing they changed was when it procs, instead of just getting a shield, you get tenacity and increased size. Which 30% attack speed or tenacity is insane. More tenacity item, the better. Because there's not many, right? There's only like a potion and merc sheds. And we can't really build them. So maybe we can opt into building this if we need tenacity. Triforce changes. They didn't really change anything on this. They just lower the cost. And For sure, all they did was lower the cost, and it lost the attack move speed thing. Lasts for 5 seconds out of 3, so basically nothing. Doesn't really matter. Same thing with this item. They just changed, lowered the damage on it and more healing, I'm pretty sure. Reverted Abyssal Mask. We didn't go this item anyway. It was like a mana item. Doesn't give mana anymore, so it might be a little bit better. But there's too many good MR items. Like, there's no way you're going this item over Visage or Force of Nature, right? More of a support item. Like, think about a Mumu. A Mumu likes this item. So yeah, this is for supports, basically. Lower the cost to even show that's for supports. Then we have Fighter buffs. Gore Drinker gets higher Mythic HP. It's cool. More AD. And Hullbreaker gets more AD and movement. This one I'm kind of scared about because this item is very toxic. Maybe we can try building Hullbreaker again, but obviously these two items not going to be very use for our champs. But yeah, Hullbreaker getting some buffs. Very scary. This item gets very problematic very fast. So, oh, this is a very interesting change. So recurbo, lowering the cost to 700, lowering the attack speed on it, and making the damage magic instead of physical. They're doing this because obviously this is going to turn into Rageblade, which is all about magic damage. But it's weird because if you're going Bork, now I feel like this item is just kind of worse. But honestly, lowering the cost on it, the attack speed nerf doesn't matter too much, and then just doing magic damage instead of physical, maybe honestly it is better. We'll have to see, test it out. And then this last change, I think this last change, right? Let me see if they just update anything. I think I waited long enough for all the changes. Our last one being Runon, doesn't affect us. This is bolts apply on hit effects and can critically strike now. Ooh, that is a massive buff for Runons though. But I'm pretty sure it doesn't say ranged only on the thing, but I'm pretty sure it's still ranged only, so we can't go this. If not, definitely want to test it out because that sounds fun. And yeah, so the last thing I want to go over was this last change. Fountain changes and mana regen increase. Doesn't affect us, we don't use mana. Buffing teleports to 10 minutes instead of 14, which I think is really good for Yone because you have to take TP mid quite a bit, at least in high elo. And top lane buffs. There we go. And then home guard timer reduced from 20 minutes to 14 minutes. Which, if you guys don't know what this is when you come out of base like super fast with the boots, right? So yeah, I think they're just trying to make games shorter with the TP changes and being able to get out of base. I mean, it's just a nice top lane buff, so yeah. And just faster in general. But yeah, all in all, I think I really like the changes. Honestly, I think that it just opens a lot more choices. I do still think IE is going to be like 99%, or I don't want to say 99, 95% of the time we're going to be building this because it's just so good for our champs, right? 35% crit chance. Can't really go wrong with it. Don't really think we're going to go into Vori ever. Maybe if like, oh, it's a really good win wall game for Yasuo. Maybe, I don't know. We'll have to see. But Gale Force, I really like the lower cooldown on it, and the movement speed, and the new mythic passive. So altogether, gonna be looking to go for Gale Force a little bit more if we need movement speed, especially on Yasuo, where if we don't have any knockups, you just want the extra gap close. I feel like it's really, really nice. And this, I still have to test this out. Maybe, big maybe, if this is ever the play. Again, only time I can ever think about this being good is if you're just going on hit Bork into Rageblade, and you're playing top Yone or Yasuo into like a Malphite, and you just want to do magic damage instead, and you're just playing for the split. Only bad thing is it's gonna make your team fight very, very bad. So, but yeah, other than that, we just have a lot more choices. So now we can go like Static Shiv first, Kraken Slayer first, maybe even Stormraiser first. Gotta try it out. Shield Bow first, maybe not because it doesn't have attack speed, and then you could opt in for one of your mythics. So there's gonna be a lot more choices. And it's going to be really fun, I think. We can maybe even try out some lethality mythics. So yeah, altogether, I think all the changes are very, very good. Hopefully, it's not a balanced nightmare and it doesn't make 80 carries completely unbalanced, but we will have to see. And yeah, I think this patch will drop on PBE tomorrow. But as soon as it does, we will be testing out all the changes in-game to verify it. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the first look onto these new items. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.